Hey guys, welcome to episode 19 of Club Fitting Chronicles. Joining me as always is Gene. What's going on?
Hey Josh.
What's going on? We got a lot of great topics and
we got a lot of bad hair going.
A lot of bad hair. We got both our hats on, both joined. Wasn't planned. We just so happened to just be on the same wavelength. And here we are looking fly with our caps on. It's pretty good, pretty sleek. But Gene, today we're talking about a lot of things. What my journey and our journey has been through club fitting, and some comparisons that I made from past fittings, and what connections I've made, and what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and then also things that other people notice about themselves and what they're starting to notice if they're watching our videos and listening to our podcast. So before we get into any of that, I just want to give a special thanks to all of our viewers and all of our viewers in Prague. How about that, yeah. Gene? Prague. Can you believe that? Wow. Unbelievable. But just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you for listening and supporting us through all these episodes. Episode 20 is up next. Special big episode. 20 episodes. I can't believe that either.
This is almost our
gone by way too quick.
This is almost our anniversary episode, though. We started almost.
You know what? It has.
Yeah. So happy anniversary.
I think we started in September of last year.
We did. And
well,
also,
you go. It's already been a year.
For our listeners and viewers, just encouragement, if you can help us. We're right now, I'm thinking, because of the great Biden economy in America, we're going to be cutting back to probably one new episode a month, because it's for 2 episodes it costs me just shy of $200, and for 1 episode it costs me about $75-80 less than that. So we might go a little longer, but we probably won't be doing 2 a month for a while, unless the economy here turns around, or somebody, I win the lottery tonight, or something happens like that. I guess you have to play the lottery, though, to win, don't you? I can't just say I was thinking those numbers.
You could always counterfeit a ticket, and
yeah,
I don't
but
know
I'm
how
not
good
that
you are
computer
at counterfeiting, but oh, okay, that's okay.
No, that's not a strong point for me.
We'll figure it out.
If you go on the, we're also going to probably put up a little questionnaire on, if you look into the notes on whether you're listening to us through a podcast or you're watching us on YouTube, you'll see some notes. And we'll probably have about 5 or 6 questions. And I would just love to get your feedback. Kind of helps us with where we need to go and what we need to talk about. But also just trying to find out who's listening to us. I know where a lot of you live. Well, not city-wise. I don't know your addresses. We have over 450 different cities that are represented, and we are in all the continents except for Africa and Antarctica. But it would be nice to know a little bit more about you. Again, you don't have to give me details, yes and no answers to them. 2-word answers are fine. I'm not looking for you to send your life story. If you want to send it, that's fine, but that's not the purpose. But it's more just to kind of get an idea of who's listening and what are your needs. And with that, I'll go to Josh.
You talk about needs.
Yeah.
It's. I never understood how important preferences are in golf, and of course, it was just a common thing for golfers to go to what they like, and I never really thought about it deeper than that, other than the fact that golfers like what they like, and that's it. But as far as knowing your preferences and knowing what you like and using that to your advantage, I think, we did a lot of work this summer focusing on what my tendencies are and what I like to feel, and kind of putting those together into, an actual working unit Not that it wasn't beforehand, but fine tuning things and making things a little bit tighter around the edge. And really, I mean, the irons was the biggest, I guess, eye opener as far as finding out what I like to feel. But those irons, I mean, the head look was great. I love ping irons. I've always said that. The ping irons look really good down the line, and that's why I haven't changed them. I mean, I got fit for them probably 6 years ago now. I haven't changed them, and I've played a lot of rounds of golf with them. So this summer, I realized that those clubs were not even close to being for me, even though there was some things that I preferred about them other than, the weight I didn't pay attention to. So once I kind of got an understanding of that and, took that into account, it's really been something I've been advocating to other people as far as figuring out what they like and using that to their advantage. And, Gene, I mean, you could second on that.
Yep.
And it's important for people to realize and kind of understand that, as early as possible. That way they could start getting, on track with their game and getting better and improving.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I always find it interesting. Golfers go into golf shops, go into number of, custom club places or fittings places and want to tell the fitter what they want, which is fine. But they usually, my experience has always been, they tell me what they already have is what they like. And when push comes to shove and I ask them, well, have you tried other things? No. How are you sure you know that what you have is the best for you? Well, I like it. Well, what are you comparing it to? Nothing. When we first met, you were very happy with your irons.
Right.
2 years ago. Mm-hmm. You were, you loved your irons. We moment of inertia weighted your irons.
Right.
And that was an improvement.
Oh, yeah.
But now that we have come up with and we have them all, we found the weight that you feel most comfortable with, and we still have the moment of inertia weighted. Mm-hmm. That just takes all the guesswork out.
Exactly.
I love the fact that you're telling me, the club we changed the most was your 4-iron.
Right.
And what was your comment before we got on the air?
I've been hitting my 4-iron really good.
I'm striping my 4-iron.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been remarkable.
How many people say that?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. But it's amazing to me the number of reluctant golfers. I'll figure it out. Name me a touring pro who has not been fit. There isn't one. You hear horror stories when, every touring pro has a backup set exactly like their originals in some place safe. Because someday, somehow, their clubs may be stolen or lost in travel, and they want to have their backup set. They don't run out to the store and say, well, I'm playing such and such, so just give me some of those. I can remember one guy having to do that years ago at the British Open. And surprisingly, he missed the cut.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. And it was all about the fact that he couldn't get his clubs over fast enough for the first round. I believe he got his clubs there for the second round. Mm. But he didn't have them for the first round. He was just he had to go into the golf shop and, get as close as he could get. But those guys have the best swings in the world, and they wouldn't dream of playing without being fit. And we don't have that swing, but we can benefit even greater than they can from being fit. You know, I've worked with a lot of guys and, you know, some champion tour players and PGA tour players, and I might be able to save them, you know, a quarter shot a tournament. That's pretty good. You're working with somebody who, you know, if I was working with somebody who shot 95, I expected that they would be in the high to mid 80s within a very short period of time. Because usually the reason you're shooting in the 90s is because you're either very inconsistent, you can't hit a driver, or there's something else wrong with the clubs. It's a length issue. It's a weight issue. There's something else going on.
Right.
And generally speaking, you can help fix that. That can be fixed pretty easily. You know, right now I'm working with one of our listeners, and shout out to Doug in Tennessee. Doug and I had been communicating a lot, and he sent me the specs in his bag, and my response to him was, you have 4 different players' clubs in your bag. Because they were all, like, his driver was set up for this guy. His irons were set up for somebody completely different, totally different swing type. His hybrids were a 3rd swing type, and his wedges were a 4th swing type. And my comment to him, because he's about a 5 index, I said, you must be one heck of an athlete to be able to do that with the differences you have in your bag. It would be like, Josh, if you were playing a E0 swing weighted driver, C7 swing weighted irons, super heavy hybrids, and lightweight wedges. You know, to be able to do all those different weights and feels, you have to be. Well, it turns out he was a professional athlete, and he played professional, not golf, but he played professionally as an athlete.
Right.
And it was like, well, I am a pretty good athlete. Yeah, you have to be to do that.
Right.
You know, and going through people's bags, I see that all the time. And then they look at me like, well, does that really matter? Yeah, it does.
Big time.
It does. and it always breaks my heart how resistant people are. I have a friend in New Mexico, and he is working with a young girl on the high school golf team. He's worked, you know, their high school team has won state championships many times, and he's worked with her sisters and stuff, and brothers, and has done wonderful things for her. And I guess I don't know her at all. I've never seen a picture of her, but she's kind of on the shorter side and the lightweight side, and she has steel shafted irons, and they're all kind of on the long side for her. And she's really reluctant to make any changes, because after all, I'm shooting around 25 strokes higher than all my other brothers and sisters have. But I really like these clubs.
Right.
Why? I just, it boggles my mind how resistant golfers are. You know, when we were working with your 3-wood, you know, my guess is you have some people who kind of look at your 3-wood and go, what's that?
I can't tell you how many people will look into my bag. Well, I have a Pins and Aces head cover on it. It's not a, you know, generic brand name head cover. So whenever, you know, it's always a guessing game when I pull that head cover off. So when I pull it off and they see, I mean, that Wishon head looks pretty dated. It's a brand new. I mean, it's brand new. The model is, I mean, what I tell them is why fix something that ain't broke? They obviously have it for a reason. And point being, I hit it good. I like the feel. And one of my favorite 3-woods of all time is the TaylorMade burner from 2008, 2007, 2008, the super fast. I mean, it was, as a matter of fact, I have one as a paperweight. I love my club so much. I'm not joking. I broke it one day. The shaft snapped, and it was an older club, but it's the TaylorMade burner. I still have it. It is a paperweight now, but it is one of my all-time favorite 3-woods. I love the way it looked down, and also just the feel and the sound. It just, everything clicked. And going back to preferences, the sound of a golf ball coming off of this, and I will stand by this statement, sounds so much better than hitting a TaylorMade, brand new TaylorMade M, whatever. At the time, I really liked the M5. That was the closest thing that I could find as far as a TaylorMade 3-wood that was somewhat recent that I liked, and it was because it sounded really similar to the burner, but it was also a lower profile, and it was completely different. But the ping that I had was just not the move. I mean, it sounded really good for a ping. I will say pings, and I love ping, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love ping, but the 3-woods, they could sound a bit clinky. It's almost like a it just sounds, where this is kind of like a whoosh. And I love that. I get that with the whoosh on. All right. Point being, that's why I like it. But a lot of people instantly look at it and go, oh my God, is that club like 100 years old? No, it's not. But it's one hell of a club. You want to try it? And they try it. And, a lot of people, like it. They're like, oh yeah, it's, yeah, it's a good club. It's a good club.
Yeah. And that's the thing that, another thing that kind of just is interesting about Americans. If I've never heard of it, chances are it must be terrible.
I know.
I can remember when I was younger, about your age, I was big into stereo equipment, and the best stereo equipment was the equipment you never heard of before. Why was it the best stereo equipment? Because only the people who really knew what they were looking for knew what it was, and they were the only ones willing to pay for it, and it wasn't that much more expensive at the time. But you had to go to a place to get it. You weren't going to walk into, the I'm trying to think of what kind of stores were around back in the 80s.
Radio Shack.
You wouldn't walk into a Best Buy and find it.
Right.
Right. You had to go into a stereo equipment store. Or when computers first came out, the best computer was the one you built yourself.
Right.
Because then you could get whatever the memories and everything else that you wanted. You could put that together.
And it's still like that to this day.
It was usually cheaper.
Right.
Yep. And when it comes to golf clubs, it's like, well, what's the number one driver on tour?
Right.
Well, I can tell you who it is. It's whoever's paying the most.
Right.
Because a lot of golfers on tour go up to that first tee when they're not feeling good, haven't been making any cash, have been, missed the cut a couple of times. Oh, so-and-so is paying us $5,000 to use their driver. I could use $5,000. I go to the first tee with that club, and then I get sick by the second or third hole, and I'm done with the tournament, but I do get my check.
Right.
It just, what's the number one iron on tour? Who cares?
Right.
Most of the time when you get down to it, the irons that they're playing, you and I can't go in and buy.
Right.
You know, they have been altered in such a way. Again, I think I shared this story before. Tom Wishon, one of my mentors, guy who designed your 3-wood, he had spent, what was it? Something like 400 hours working on Payne Stewart's last set of competitive irons. And he was meeting him at the airport the day that his plane crashed. It wasn't a set of clubs you or I could buy.
Right.
They were designed for who? For Payne Stewart. Center of gravity was located where Payne Stewart needed it, not where Gene Bonk needed it, because he wasn't going to get those clubs.
Right.
And as much as Tom and I are friends, he isn't going to spend 400 hours on my irons to design them. It's not going to happen. There are so many good component companies out there. I was thinking about my hat, Chronos putters. If you want to go and look up Chronos Golf, CRONOS golf.com. Everything is milled out of one piece of metal. There is no welding. Meticulous work, all milled, out of one piece of metal, each putter head. Balances exactly where the sight line is on the putter. It costs a little bit more. How about Clay Long? He's the guy who designed the putter that Jack Nicklaus is holding up, the big battleship putter that wasn't supposed to be even sold like that. It was supposed to be for golfers. He had done some studies and he found that the average golfer missed the most putts 2 degrees to the right. And so there was going to be a little, a little shade canopy on the top of the putter where you couldn't see the face. And it was going to have the little line on the top of the club for lining up, but there was going to be this little canopy, and then the face was going to be just behind the canopy, and the face was actually going to be 2 degrees closed so that he could get golfers to actually get the ball closer to the hole. Well, USGA said, no, you can't do that. And so he had the putter sitting in his office, and Jack walks in and he goes, oh, starts rolling putts with it, making putts. And he hadn't been putting very well at the time. And he's painted black. And so they painted it black, and he went on tour and won the Masters with it. Everybody needed that putter then.
Right.
Well, why? I got an email yesterday. The grip that was used to win the U.S. Open is now available. How is the guy who was putting with it coming with the grip to help me make the putt?
No, it was the grip. It was all the grip's doing.
I don't think it was. Yeah, because I know I saw the grip getting out behind, the ball a lot of times and reading the putt for him, and then, crawling back up and getting itself into place. It blows my mind. On TV the other day, there's, one of the local companies was talking about our golfers hit them. 93% of all golfers hit our driver further.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would like to see how the test was set up. My guess is, I know that company generally makes their drivers a little tiny bit shorter than the average golfers, average club companies make. So was that partly because golfers could actually hit the center of the face a few more times?
Often, yeah. Yeah.
More often? Okay, that would make sense to me, but then again, the length of my driver, and I don't miss fairways with it. Give me a 44 or give me a 45 and 3/4 inch driver, I have no idea where this thing is going. And I have a pretty repeatable swing, but I can't hit a ball with that length driver. The ball looks too small from that distance away.
Right.
I have no desire. I get guys who, I'll let them hit my driver and they want to reciprocate. Here, you can hit mine. No, I don't want to hit yours. I can't hit that thing. It's too long.
Right.
It doesn't feel right. I don't like the way it feels when the contact with the face. It boggles my mind how golfers think that those major companies, we talked about a long time ago, most of those major companies weren't in existence in the year 1990 that everybody is running to today. They, Callaway was making wine in Temecula, California. Our Titleist was called Golfcraft in Escondido, California. TaylorMade was Pittsburgh Persimmon, and they made a driver with little speed bumps on it. The opposite of a dimple on a golf ball. And they made one driver head, and it was, I think, 180 cubic centimeters. Who else is out there? Well, Ping was out there. That was about the only company that was...
It's lasted for a while.
Known, but they were more known for their putters. Right. You're, again, because you're so young compared to me, you'd be out on the golf course and you hear, ding! Oh, somebody's got a Ping putter. Because they used to make that sound, and you could hear it around the golf course. You're going by a green, you hear somebody, ding!
Very, very notorious for that sound is very, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. Even for me, growing up, the G, I would say probably, I'd probably say the G30. Was that what it was? The G30, the black and blue.
Could have been.
Right? So that was probably 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember the sound of that driver was just tink, tink. I mean, it was just god awful. You could hear it from a mile away, and we'd all say the same thing.
Not as bad as the big Nike Square one.
No, that is, that. See, I've had the pleasure to never hear that driver be hit, but I've seen it, and it doesn't look very appealing to someone like myself. But yes, same concept.
Yeah, well, it sounds worse.
It's the same. It's all the same. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it just, working with Doug, I sent him 7 different clubs, because we're in the process right now of building a set of irons. And we have narrowed down, okay, we know the weight is going to be in this ballpark. He likes the way this head looks. We're going to, he's going to do a little bit more testing, and then he's going to ship them back to me, and I'm going to send him a couple of clubs with shafts of the same weight that he likes. So he can compare, do I like the vibrations that created by this shaft better than this shaft, because that's what the feel is. Right. It's vibration. Right. And we'll go from there, but he's learning a lot about what he likes. Yeah. Again, as an athlete, he was thinking, I'm going to like really head heavy stuff, and he doesn't, and that's fine. And I've watched videos of him. He is still in very good physical condition. He swings the club, about 85 miles an hour with an iron. And he makes a really good pass at the ball. But he likes a lighter shaft. And he doesn't need the head to be dominating. He likes the head kind of, it's there, but because the shaft is lighter, you notice more of the head. If you put it on the swing weight scale, it doesn't read very high. It probably is going to be in the D1 range, D0. Oh. If you put in a heavy shaft like he's had in the past, swing weight would be probably about D4. Right. But that's because the shaft weighs more. Right. Well, the head still weighs the same amount. It's just you don't have all that shaft weight on the end of it.
It's exactly like Trent. With his wedges, he got fitted, and he said that's the heaviest. I got fitted for the heaviest, the weight heaviest weight I can get my wedges. Well, yeah, his wedges were very head light, and in that moment, I handed my wedge to Trent where it's very head heavy, and there's still dynamic gold shafts in my wedges. They're still a heavy, heavy shaft. However, the weight, I mean, it's a D7, which is very, very heavy as far as a wedge goes. And, the head feel, is just, it's so funny. I have so many guys that will say, well, my club's actually really heavy. And I go and I feel it and I go, well, what do you think? Well, it needs to be heavier. I can't feel the head. What needs to be heavier? The club. Okay. The club is already heavy, but where is this weight going? And then I look at their shaft and they have a 75 gram extra stiff shaft. And they're like, I'm sorry, but they're around your age, Gene, and they can't swing an extra stiff. I mean, that is just ridiculous for them to think that they can swing an extra stiff.
Yep.
Ridiculous. And no matter what move they think they make towards the golf ball that creates that much power, creates that much speed, it's just idiotic.
Right.
And, I had one gentleman at a golf course. We were talking, and I said, here, try this. And I gave him my driver. He's like, oh, is this, he starts swinging this. He goes, oh, is this an extra stiff too? I go, no. I go, that's actually a 65 gram stiff. I go, what you're feeling is the tip stiffness. And I said, and the other thing too is you're actually feeling the club head. Oh, it actually feels heavier. Exactly. Because you're actually able to feel the head. So it's just, it's amazing just like how much of a difference that feeling really is when people like get to realize it. I mean, it's an instant like realization when you hand them a club that actually has head weight to a club that, is heavy, but it's mostly in the shaft.
Yep.
I mean, people instantly are just like, well, I like this one better. Yeah, because you can feel the head.
Yep.
Every good golfer wants to have some feeling of the club head. That's just how it is. And especially with wedges, that's why Trent was so fixated on the fact with how my wedges were very head heavy. He's like, man, I like this. I can actually, yeah, because golfers, especially around the greens, short around the greens, you're gonna want some feel with your hands. That's all it is. It's feel.
Yep.
Feel. And that all gets lost in translation with many people when they are just like, well, I want this club to be heavy, so I'm going to put the heaviest shaft in there, and then there he goes. The club is now heavy.
Yep.
Heavy is such a broad term in golf.
It is, and it just, Bill over at Las Colinas, his driver is D7.
Oh yeah.
He will shoot you before he would let you walk off with that driver. Bill is 68 years old. His shaft weight is 55 grams. And Bill went from hitting maybe 5 fairways and having a few, drives that he would be satisfied with to, we've been playing for now a year and a half, 2 years, and he, it's not unusual for him to hit 10, 11, 12 fairways. A couple of weeks ago, we were playing at on number 9, and he had 65 yards in. Wow. That's a pretty good drive.
That is a damn good drive.
He again, at our age, and he's a little older than I am, he reaches the 5th hole into quite regularly. He'll be 210 out, 215 out. That's hitting the ball pretty good.
Yeah.
He couldn't do that before with his name brand driver.
Right.
Couldn't come close to what he does now. He used to take out his 3-wood on a lot of the par 4s where he wanted, his position was really critical. He hits his driver now. So he can hits the driver longer, straighter than he hits his 3-wood. And
And,
lengthwise,
and
it's
that is
shorter
all
than
derived from the weight in the head.
weight in the head and being shorter than any driver he's ever owned.
Boom.
Yep. He hits it further, hits it straighter, hits it longer. Which is,
And that's exactly it.
it happens, it would happen every day. People in Southern California, if you haven't been to ADS Golf, I don't know why. It was a regular thing for us, having golfers come in and getting, feedback. Yeah, my index has dropped 4 in the last month. I hit 14 of 14 fairways for the first time ever. I hate to say this, but in a lot of cases, helping golfers, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. It was hard not to help them because they come in with a driver that's almost 46 inches long. They'll never wear out the face because they could hit everywhere on the face and sometimes on the bottom of the club. They had irons that they couldn't have, they had no sense of the head, and especially from the 6-iron on down, or up, I should say, going towards the 5 and if they had a 4-iron or if they had hybrids, they were all longer than they could hit. A lot of people with their 44-inch long fairway wood that they could really stick in the ground really well. Again, it was not either, a lot of times they were too light. They have a 60-gram shaft in a fairway wood, and it was too light for them. It was lighter than their driver shaft. That might have been 65 grams. It's really not hard to help somebody. The big question is as long as the guy who's helping you happens to ask you some questions and understands what's going on. I was talking with somebody and they were mentioning, they were, the fitter was saying, well, we're going to bend the clubs, but when you learn not to do the thing you do, then you might want to unbend them. Well, my first thought is why would you bend anything that you haven't hit? For lie angle.
Right.
How many of those perfect lies do you get around? I know I get, like, every time I hit a ball, my lie is perfect in the fairway. And then on top of it, if you think about the physics of somebody with a weight, if I gave you 70 pounds, let's say, of weight, are you going to want to hold it away from your body, or are you going to hold it in? If somebody's tossing you a baby out of a burning building, you don't go and try to reach out and keep your arms out like this. You bring it in. When something is heavy, we bring it towards us.
Right.
Okay? That's the normal thing to do. Well, when a golf club feels too heavy, guess what I do with my swing? I pull in. I don't swing down the line. It's heavy. Now, is it heavy like I can't get it? I can't press my golf club. No, it's not like that. But when I'm swinging it, there's a point where it's just too much weight for me to continue to hold my balance. And I would watch people with that, coming across the ball. And that's the guy who hits the slice, except for when he gets the face closed to that path, or at least square to that path, and then it goes towards the door wall on that one house. I knew right away, 90% of the time, that guy is going to need a lighter shaft. Not because he's not strong physically, it's just the weight of it in the golf swing just is causing him to bring the club in. It wasn't hard to find that. On the other hand, the guy who's swinging the club away from him, generally speaking, it's too late. Or you get a big, strong guy, and he's coming across, again, it becomes too late. But now it's the plastic bat in his hands. It's impossible for me to make a good swing because there's not enough resistance. So I just get fast. And when I get fast, again, I start pulling things in. So a lot of fitting is just understanding body movement and giving golfers options. Because again, when when I sent the clubs out to Doug, and he was like, I really like this. And I know he was a little bit, I don't know if I'm going to be able to tell the difference. No, you'll be able to tell the difference. Just like when we went out to Las Colinas that day. How hard was it for you to say yes and no?
Not very hard.
You know, I give you this club, you know, no.
Yeah.
Give you this
it
one,
was
you swing
instant.
a couple. Yeah,
Instant. And the increments were not even anything. I mean, they were so small of an increment, and that's exactly. I mean, I'm going to bring this up is, I mean, everybody so skeptical when it comes to changing equipment, and golfers especially are creatures of habit. And I think that kind of leads to our own demise a little bit, because some of the things that we do that we don't want to change from are the reasons for our problems that we have. So like I was like, when we played our first time with my 6-iron, I had no clue. I had absolutely no idea what any of this. If you were to tell me, if you were to talk to me in this kind of lingo, whatever, 2.5 years ago, whatever it was, I would be like, that doesn't matter. Yeah, right. That doesn't matter. But it's just it's getting the feeling of it and just getting a little taste that just opens your mind to change. And I went through a lot of changes this summer. A lot.
Yep.
A lot of changes. And it's just a matter of
weights. We changed lengths.
Oh yeah. Totally out of my comfort zone. And I didn't really play a lot of tournaments. So I had time to spare to, tinker around with things. But even then, it's not like I was playing like crap and it took me forever to get used to. No, we had one range session where we sat down. We took a look at the markings that we did. I mean, we used tape. We didn't have anything, technological that we could look at, like a, GC quad or anything. But even with the markings with a simple masking tape and an Expo dry erase marker, I mean, stuff that is, could be found around people's houses. Swing weight scale, not so much, but you could also, you could find that at a, you could order that online. You could even get, lead tape online. These are all, resources that are fairly inexpensive for someone who wants to explore this realm of kind of understanding club fitting. But it was so easy to tell a difference with such a little change. I mean, it was so, instantly grab the 130 gram shaft. No, I don't like that. I grabbed the club head that is a little bit, butt stiff, and I kind of like that. No, but it's just not for me. And then I grabbed the 115 and the 110, and I'm like, okay, these two are the top contenders. Now it's a matter of, putting in, a few extra, reps and tests and see which one really is the more consistent. And for the most part, they were pretty similar until we got down to the last 5 golf balls with the masking tape. Then you really saw, my point of contact with this is here and my point of contact is this. And now it's just a matter of, well, I like hitting the center of the face more, so I'm going to have to go with this one, right? It's just, it's so simple. And I feel like a lot of people, not trying to diss on some club fitters, but they make it more complicated than it has to be.
Yep.
Because it's really not. I have no clue about the multifaceted world of club fitting. I don't have as much knowledge as Gene, but I could tell you one thing. I know what my preferences are and I know what I like. I now have explored that. I now have an understanding of that. And now I could go and really hone in if I need to make a change. I know what I could test out and be open to that change. So it's just it's all relative, and it's the small things make a big difference.
Yep.
Big time.
Yep. And again, it just my hope for golfers around the world is that you don't be afraid of the guy who's working in his garage who is a club fitter. Give him some, give him a try. You don't have to buy anything usually, but you can at least, find out, talk with him. I started off in my garage until I got tired of, my wife was doing childcare out of our house, and I would come home and I would find 5, 6 sets of clubs sitting on my porch with notes telling me what they wanted me to do to them. And I'm like, dude, my house has already been broken into a few times. You're leaving all your golf clubs on my front porch? That's not very smart. And I would have, a lot of people would, talk to me on the golf course and they'd be really interested. Where's your shop at? Well, it's in my garage. Oh, okay. I'm not interested. The minute I got a door that I had to unlock and turn the lights on as I walked in, I got way smarter because I had a building. And then, this is back in the day when there was no track, there was nothing. And I was still doing the exact same thing that we did, that when we went and hit balls, doing it the exact same way, and got TrackMan, and I even became smarter. But I did it the same way. It doesn't change. The only thing I could do is I could show you, okay, notice with this heavier shaft, how your swing was 5 degrees to the inside. With this, shaft that is 20 grams lighter with the swing weight at this, now your swing path is 1 degree to the inside. And it always goes back to 1 degree to the inside with that weight. You're going to have less ball movement as a result. You're going to be a little bit more consistent in your ball striking. And perfect. That's as close as we could get. Some people, okay, I want to hit a draw. Oh, and we ended up, through weight and everything else, and they had a good enough swing that they were able to get maybe a half degree to the outside or a degree to the outside, and they got a little draw, whatever. But it was still the same process. Putting tape on the face, having you hit this, watching your swing, having you hit this weight, having you hit this weight. No, I don't like that weight. Okay, so we're not going any heavier. Now we're going to go down and finding the parameters. Then we'll start adding lead tape to the back of the head. There. Very similar. I got to be out on the range. Have I ever told you my Keegan Bradley story? No?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. No? Okay. So I'm out at Torrey Pines. I was invited out by one of the major shaft companies. I would get an invite every time they would come into town for the Farmers or the Buick. And so I'm in the tour van hanging out, and we're at the back of the range, where only the pros are, there's no fans or anything else. And Keegan is out there hitting probably 6 irons. And I am the only person watching. And there's a palm tree way out in the distance. And I'm watching Keegan hitting his 6-iron. And it starts off right at the leftmost frond of that palm tree in the distance. And then it would drop about 2 yards to the left of it. And I'm watching ball after ball. And it's exactly the same shot. Same pattern, same starting line, same little bit of a draw at the end, dropping down. And I'm thinking, I wonder if those balls are landing on each other. And there's just pretty soon I'm going to see the stack of balls because everyone looked exactly the same. And he probably hits 10, 15 balls. And the company that he was playing comes over and says, Keegan, we'd like you to hit this. And he looks at it and it's got a graphite shaft in it. And everybody has been, at that time and still to this day, is trying to come up with a graphite shaft and irons that will compete with the Aerotech. And so Keegan looks at it and he you could tell he did not want to hit this thing. He was not interested. Please hit it. Please, just one time. So he takes a couple practice swings, pulls the ball up. Ball starts off on the exact same line as all the other ones. This time it falls about 3 yards to the right. And then he hands it back to him. That's why I can't hit it. It was like, you know, you and I,
The smallest,
right?
small.
But he felt the difference. The club didn't do what he wanted it to do when he put his swing on it. Most golfers try to change their swing to make the ball do something different. He was not interested in that. You know, I got to meet Hank Haney when he was Tiger Woods' coach, and when I was at a conference. And there were a group of us, and we asked them, well, what does Tiger do at a fitting? And this is in the probably late 90s, early 2000s. And he goes, well, you know, I think he was with Nike at the time. Nike rolls out, 10 clubs. And he walks down the line, nope, 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 okay, nope. And he's just looking at them. Now, they're all identical in their mind. But Tiger is seeing a little change in the face angle, a little change in loft, whatever. Out of the 10, he pulls out 2. Takes a waggle. Nope. Okay. Hits it 1 time. Hands it back. Did he like it? He's thinking about it. If it did exactly what he wanted it to do, okay, I'll try it again another day. If it didn't do what he wanted it to do, he's done. What does the average golfer do when they're getting fit? They hit ball after ball after ball after ball after ball after ball, trying to make this thing work. That's not how you get fit for golf clubs. That's how you get exhausted. When I would have tour pros come in and they were wanting to work on something, thinking about a different shaft, if they hit 20 balls, that was a lot. They had a window that they were looking for that ball to go through. That's all they cared about. And the way it felt. So, those of you listening, if you want to go to rollyourball.com, visit Clay Long. He's the guy who designed that putter of Nicklaus's. Makes some really cool wedges. Don't cost you 2 arms and 4 legs. Go see it. Go to the website. Go to Wish on Golf. Tom has some great videos there about club fitting. You'll probably get a PhD in club fitting, just listening and watching some of his videos. When he came out with his first book, I was reading it. I go, how did he get into my head and know all the same things I was thinking? But he spent, that was his career, figuring it out, and yet everybody runs to, company A, who's going to come out with something new in 6 months because sales are starting to wane a little bit and we got to get more people buying new clubs and telling them how this new stuff is even better than the old stuff. So with that, Josh, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Yeah. 1 year.
Good luck tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Should be windy for you.
It's going to be windy. It's going to be super toasty. No, it's going to be a good day.
Yep. Sounds good. Well, keep me informed. Take care. God bless. See you, Sammy and Emma.